All right, this video is for my targeted community. Um, I mentioned about writing, getting the form, the UCC1 form, to identify yourself as the creditor for, because it's obvious. What I have found from before recently, like months ago, what I have found is that a lot of targeted individuals that I was talking to on the conference calls on targeted justice, TI Street, .com, TIevents.com, is a lot of us have our social securities that start with 369, which is the manifestation number. Interesting how it already goes to spirituality right before anything else, right? Aside from that, a lot of other TIs that I spoke to um, talked about how they have inheritance. And I was like, that's crazy. And I just remember that my mother had $22,000 and she wanted to give each of us 5,000. No wonder my older sister didn't care because $22,000 is nothing for that. But basically, what happens after that, sorry, there's somebody that's right here. So basically, what I was trying to say before somebody walked by is that I was like, oh wow, maybe all of us have inheritance. And then I was like, well, with my mother, that I found out is my grandmother, she had the 22,000. Jessica didn't care, and I was wondering, Jess was always about money, so why did she not care? But she did hide the fact that she stole the will, and she was real like, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And that's obviously Daryl and her had a relation going on, and he recently MURDERED her about 2.5 months ago. Julie, that was about 3-4 weeks ago now. Um, God rest their souls, regardless of how horrible they were to me. I guess they used to beat me up while I was unconscious. I just think people are cowards for doing everything when you're sleeping. Like, how nothing of a person. Anyway, but basically, um, I found out that I do have an inheritance as well. So I found out other TIs had inheritance, but I don't really look inside at myself. I look at everything around me. Um, it's just the best way to be objective. But yeah, I happen to be a TI, so of course it does make sense that I would have an inheritance too. And as I've been digging, what I also told you guys as TIs is get the UCC1 form. Your birth certificate is basically your corporation. The government uses that to sell you. And whether they sell your soul, sell your blood, sell your DNA, sell your eggs, sell your sperm, sell your bodies, sell your emotional traumas, they use you. They buy and sell you. They can use you at any moment. So when you do the UCC1 form, you're basically saying you are the creditor, you are the living person, and all of that debt that they have put on your name, because we all have identity theft. We all have mortgages, cars, apartments, homes out in our name. That's why our credits are bad. That's why they isolate us as targeted individuals from using the internet or having normal internet. That's why they are constantly redirecting it using stingrays, etc., so that we don't talk to actual people. And then we continue to give these people our information so that they can use it and destroy our lives. And it's because we have accrued so much inheritance. And this is why they continue to target us. And this is why the government continues to target us as well. Because we have inheritance of things on a material level that can actually change the scale of the way that we work in this reality. And they don't want us, targeted individuals, who are siphoned for our energy. This is a normal thing. I won't get into it today, but I have mentioned it on a couple of TI groups. But you can ask me if you want clarification. I talked about the Hadron Collider. Combustion engines is a good example. That's energy usage. So let's not get into that. But basically, they use us as well as human energy sources and experimentation for this as well. They clone us because we have energy capabilities that they need It is arrogant for us to think that we are the only living species or creatures on this planet that think, as critically as us. Okay. In saying that, let's just say hypothetically there are aliens. Let's just say there's extraterrestrials, whatever. But there are creatures that live amongst us that we are not privy to because we are intentionally not supposed to be privy to. Okay. And some of them eat us and also and use our energy, etc., etc. Okay, this is not just a spiritual thing. This is an actual physical reality that we can actually identify. It's just we have not been given that information. We have been oppressed. The information has been oppressed so that we don't know. After you do the UCC1 form, I suggest doing a sovereignty non-consent video, because now it makes them liable for using you for things you do not consent to, which is experimentation, putting things in your, the US patent that puts GPS trackers in your teeth, which is a really simple thing. When they always go when we're asleep. That's why there's so many break-ins. So after you do the non-consent and sovereignty video, post it, send it to your friends. At least have 2 witnesses. If 2 people see it, you're set. Okay, you're good. Now, obviously, make sure they're not perps. And even if they are perps, as long as you have it on social media, there's not everybody that goes past your social media as a perp. Let's just put it that way. All right. Especially if you're trying to be with other people in the community, to put it on a TI group. Put it on Pinterest, whatever suits your fancy that you feel will catch enough people that you don't believe are all perps, because they're not all perps, but a lot of them are. After you do that, look into going to the surrogate or probate court. Look your last name up. Look your mother, father, or their maiden names. Look them up to see what's going on. Are there people's, wills out there? If you can't physically go to the probate or surrogate court to see what's going on, I also suggest to see if you have been adopted. Surrogate court. The probate courts also can give you identification on, because you have the right, if you are adopted. Let's just amuse the idea. If say you're adopted, amuse the idea. And when you go to the probate court to ask if there's any wills that have your name on it, ask if there's any adoption agencies that your actual name, social security, and everything. Bring your birth certificate and ask them, where did this come from? And you might be surprised. Not just that, I decided to look up public records for my last name, Harrington, in North Carolina, because that was where I was supposedly born. That's where my birth certificate says. But there's also an adoption agency right there where I was born, in the same city, same county, at the surrogate probate court, like really close to it. So I am starting to believe I am adopted. I don't know the actual hierarchy completely, but I do believe that my father RAP'd my half-sister, and hence that's where I came from. But supposedly my aunt might have been in a relation with my father, but I don't believe so, because where I was born, she was not there, and we only lived there for a couple months before we moved away. So I do believe it is specifically my half-sister that is actually my mother. But going back, go to the probate courts, check that out. Go to the public records of where you used to live and look at the name. What I did was I looked at the last name in North Carolina alone, where I lived, and what they have done. This is of your lineage for all targeted individuals. Your last name, your lineage. If you look and you see how many times people with your last name in the city or county that you were born in or fostered from, I found for me that there are over 200 cases in North Carolina alone accusing people with my last name of murder, of prostitution, of suicide, of stealing vehicles, of so and so, all the stuff that they target us for. I have been targeted for prostitution. I've been targeted. Daryl claimed that I stole his vehicle. One of the rumors is I murdered children. They intentionally have been doing this to your family for decades, probably longer than decades. So I would strongly urge my targeted community to look into the probate courts, to do your UCC 1 form, and to make a sovereignty non-consent video and post it up. And when I have more information, I will definitely share it with you guys. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Stay calm. Higher your vibration. These people are ignorant. It's all just gaslighting. You know what they're doing. Don't let it bother you, no matter how much it does. Wusa. I love you. Take care of yourselves. And Merry Christmas.